Hello and welcome to this very first episode of Medieval Dynasty. This game is a part farming simulator, part survival-ish game with some dynasty or multi-generational components to it. We're going to go ahead and jump into a new game. I'm playing on the PC, so I do get the option of choosing which map to play on. If you're playing on Xbox or PlayStation, you do not get this option because there is an update that has only gone out to PC so far. We are going to play in the Valley, which is the original map. One of the first things to think about when you're playing Medieval Dynasty is how you want to customize the game. You can change this as you play, but one of the things that, and we'll talk about this as I play, you may want to consider giving yourself unlimited health, not dealing with hunger or thirst. Unlimited carry weight is a good thing to give yourself early on, just so you can get kind of familiar with the game. But there are lots of options that you can toggle, you can alter, you can shift up or down as you go. But I'm going to play in kind of the normal settings, the original settings, and we're going to go ahead and jump into the game. There is a little bit of a cutscene at the beginning. It's not really all that interesting. I'm going to go ahead and try to skip it and just summarize it for you. So essentially, you're a character from another village. Your parents were murdered by bandits, and so you have come to the valley trying to find your uncle, because I think it was your mother's brother, settled in this town, settled in this area, and he's the only family that you have left. And so you are in search of your uncle to try to set up shop now that you have nothing else because your family and village was slaughtered. So we're going to go ahead and load into the world. We already get our first quest, which is asking us to talk to the Castellan. I don't pronounce things well. Who's essentially the guy in charge of the whole area. If we look on the map, this is the valley right here. There are a bunch of little towns. We're going to actually get set up over in this area for our village. I like setting up in this area. It's a relatively flat area, so you can really spread your town out. And it's pretty close to a lot of the different towns in the area. But we are starting in spring, day 1 of spring. Each season by default is 3 days long. You can change that. I think you can go up to like 30 days per season. 3 days may sound... Excuse me. 3 days may not sound like a lot of time, but it honestly is plenty of time to get done what you need to get done. First couple of years, it'll go by really quick. But as you progress, you'll pretty much get to the point where you wish each season was 1 day long. Excuse me. Got a little bit of a tickle in the back of my throat. So here we're going to find... Oh, he's running around behind the house. Come on, dude. Let's jump. Hi. Why are you hiding? There we go. Okay. So I'm going to kind of skip through the storyline a bit. Honestly, it is a mildly interesting storyline, but I've been through it before, and it's not super interesting to me. So pretty much this guy is your uncle's former best friend. Your uncle is dead. And he now gives you permission to kind of set up shop in this area. We have now unlocked the chapters. So there are chapters, there are story quests, side quests, and challenges. So we have unlocked chapters now. Those are the kind of meat and potatoes quests of how to get through the game. It's kind of like a tutorial. You know, we still have some knowledge, so I can hit tab and we can look at all of the knowledge stuff. This is also very much tutorial-esque, but the chapters are as close to a tutorial as this game gets. I do recommend, if you're playing on PC, to play in the Valley for your first game, because in the Oxbow you do not get chapters, so it's a little bit harder to get started. One of the things to keep an eye out as you're exploring the world is finding little abandoned caches of resources. It's a really great way to get an early head start. I think the last game that I played, this is actually my second time trying to record this video, I found a whole bunch of really awesome tools, and I'm really hoping that I can find some similar things this time around. There are a couple things you need to be careful of in this game. It is not just a peaceful little farming simulation. It is a survival game. So you'll notice in the top left-hand corner, every now and then it says that I've spotted some animals. So if we look on the map, I can switch my view and there are different animals. All of the animals I've discovered so far are passive animals, but there are some hostile animals where if you get too close to them, they will attack and murder you. There's no armor in this game. You are just a fleshy bag of meat ready to get eaten. So you have to be careful specifically of wolves, bears, boars, and wisents. There are also sometimes some, what's it called? Bandits. So you do have to be careful of bandits. So here, for instance, I just got some apple tree seedlings. Those are relatively pricey and hard to get. Stone axe, that'll be nice. Mead, alcohol is your friend early on because it is worth a lot of money. So you can sell it for a lot of money and get a good head start in the game. You know what, I might be able to carry this. Okay, let's continue. So one of the reasons that I'm going in this direction is I know that this area has no dangerous animals too close to the road. Sometimes you'll find a wolf spawn point that is pretty much right on top of the road, and so you've got to be very, very, very careful as you are moving around. But I know going on this path, I'm pretty much safe from everything except bandits, and I would have to be pretty unlucky for bandits to be spawning on just this one specific section of road. That's not to say that it can't happen or won't happen, but it is something that I haven't seen too often. Like, I do see bandits all the time, but you know, if I run into bandits on day one, I'm going to consider that to be the unluckiest game ever. You can outrun most things, assuming that you maintain your stamina. This is actually another iron shovel. That's awesome. There are 2 islands on this map that are always worth checking every season. This island here and this island there. Quite frequently you will find buried treasure or little piles of stones hiding some money. So I just got like 150 gold, and I got this iron shovel that's worth 670. I'm not going to sell it because iron tools are incredibly useful early on. Their durability is so amazing. It's definitely worth hanging on to. It's not worth selling. If you end up with a couple, then yeah, you could think about selling one, but I personally wouldn't. Okay. So I have rambled, and we are about 2/3 the way there, maybe a little bit closer than that. But, oh, see, there's some moose. That is one thing that I think is kind of silly about this game. The moose are not aggressive. They're passive, which is very unrealistic in my opinion, because a moose will mess you up if you're not careful. So, always a good idea to look around these carts really well. There can usually be something hidden, but I'm not seeing anything, unfortunately. Would have been nice to get like a sickle or a scythe. But such is life. Beggars can't be choosers. Oh. And I apologize in advance if my puppies get whiny. My husband went for a walk and he did not take them. So they're a little bit obnoxious right now. Ooh, copper spear. That will be good for hunting. One of the biggest issues in the early game, and honestly any time during the game, is inventory management. I definitely recommend that if you are playing this game your first time, you want to give yourself unlimited carrying capacity, because it's just such a pain in the butt to have to deal with your inventory. But we're almost to where I want to get set up. Okay. I think this is gonna be it. So first I'm gonna pick up rocks. Okay, that's relatively clear. And now I'm going to set up my house. Over here, I'm going to go ahead and just dump my inventory. I don't have a way to make storage yet. Oops. Inventory. So until I get some kind of storage, I'm just going to have to throw things on the ground. Oops, and it would help if I didn't take my shirt off, but oh well. We're gonna keep the axe, torch, wheat. Okay, apparently I threw out too much stuff at once and it just went crazy. So let me find my shirt. I am using something called inspector mode, which is a great way to find items. Later on, you can get upgrades to inspector mode to allow you to see more stuff. So my quest is now telling me I need to make a wooden hammer and I need to cut down some trees. So we're going to cut down this tree. Be careful. As the tree is falling, it can fall on you and kill you. So be wary. There are 3 kinds of trees in the map. There are birch trees, spruce trees, and maple trees. Birch trees are the worst trees. You only get 2 logs per birch tree. Spruce, you get 3, and maple, you get 4. So it's kind of annoying that this area that I picked as my beginning area is just full of birch trees, but we're going to pretty quickly, probably by episode 3, have some villagers to collect resources for us. So it's not the end of the world to have to run a little bit further or cut down a few more trees. Okay, so let's pick up some rocks. If anything, harvesting stone is more annoying early game because you don't get a villager that is able to harvest stone for quite a while. So you will end up having to run all over the place for stone. Stone is the most valuable building resource in my opinion. Mainly because I like using, there are a couple different options that you get for housing types. And my favorite housing type is the stone house. And I'll show you that in a second once I finish cutting down some more trees and getting some more logs. And I like the stone house because it is, oh, here we get a maple tree. It is the best for insulation and for keeping your villagers warm during the winter. So it takes a little bit longer. Got to dodge. It takes a little bit longer to build because you have to harvest harder to find stone, whereas the simplest house you can just use sticks to make it. But I think it's worth it in the long run. Okay, so right now it says a wattle wall, which is going to be made of logs and sticks. If we press E, we can actually switch to wooden walls, which is made of logs, or stone walls. This has the highest durability and heat retention, so we're going to go with stone. It does take a while to build because we've got to get a lot of stones. We also have to get a few logs. Pretty much the way it works out in my head is you need the logs for like structural support, and then you need the stones to actually fill in. You can change the type of wall. So like this is just a plain wall. I could choose to have it with window. I could also move my door around. I do have to go in here where the door is and turn it into a plain wall first, and then I can move and put a door somewhere else. But it really doesn't matter where you have them. You can also change the roofing tile. However, the other two roof tiles do need planks, and those are kind of hard to get early on. So I'm going to stick with just the plain thatched roof while I run around and try to pick up more rocks. So let's get some more stones. Oh, I should probably go in here and actually spend my point. Okay, so I'm going to continue harvesting stones, and I'll get back to you when I'm done making the walls of the house. Be right back. Okay, so I'm chopping down the last tree I'm going to need for my house, and while I'm doing this, I wanted to talk about a couple of things. First off, I may have already mentioned it, but when you're chopping down trees, be careful to keep an eye on the tree. If it falls on you, it can and will kill you, so be very careful. The other thing two things I wanted to talk about, maybe two, maybe more, who knows, is if you'll notice down in the bottom left, there are a few different bars that I need to keep an eye on. So the first bar is the green bar. That is your stamina bar. Doing things like running around, I'm holding shift to run, that will drain your stamina. Swinging weapons will drain your stamina. Using the inspector mode will drain your stamina, so got to keep an eye on that. It does replenish relatively quickly, but it can be kind of annoying to run out of stamina too often. The next bar, the red bar, that is your health. Is self-explanatory there. But if you're not careful with your health, you can die pretty easily in this game. You take damage pretty regularly and pretty frequently. So be careful, keep an eye on it. There are some healing items in the game, and sleeping will heal you. But you do need to be careful. The next bar, the yellow bar, that is your hunger bar. Keep an eye on that. If it runs all the way down, you will start taking damage. You can eat. Most items in the game will have a food value. When I get back to my house over there, I will show you. And the last bar, the blue bar, is your thirst bar. You can use items to replenish that. For instance, that mead that I found earlier will replenish your thirst a little bit, but it's generally just easiest to go to the river and drink from there. So I've got some dried meat here that I can eat. If you look down here, it has a 13% food. It has an additional effect of less food consumption. So that means that my food bar will drain slower for the next 650 seconds. So might be worth it. Different items have different effects. So salted meat is a little bit better at less food consumption, but it does consume some of your water. So it's up to you. You can also get poisoned by things. If I were to drink that meat, I would actually get a little bit drunk. So got to be careful. The last thing that I think I wanted to mention was experience. There are 2 different kinds of experience in the game. The way that it kind of plays out in my brain is one of those kinds of experience is your character. Those are your character skills, and it is only affected by your character doing things. The other kind of experience is your town's experience, your town's technology level. You doing things will increase that, but also when you get villagers, the villagers' actions will actually affect the town's experience. So we can look at these. Oh, see, I already finished chapter 1. We can look at these with T to look at the technology tree. This is your town's experience. So right now I have building tech. You get building technology by building, also by harvesting certain extraction activities. So this would be chopping down trees and things like that. We can build a well, we can build a resource storage. We're going to be saving those for, I think, next episode. But you can see there's survival. This is for hunting animals, setting traps, and fishing. Also, just general collecting items off the ground is survival. Then there's farming, which we'll get to, and production. Then over here we have skills. These are your character's specific skills. I've pretty much just been working on survival. This is from gathering items with a little bit of extraction. This was from chopping down trees. So we now have our first house. I'm going to go ahead and pick up all of my trash that I just dropped everywhere. There's a daisy. And I'm going to put this into my house. One of the benefits of building buildings is you automatically get a chest. Otherwise, it's a little bit difficult to actually... Wow, I can't believe how far some of this stuff got tossed. There it is. I'm gonna have to run around here a little bit off camera looking for stuff. Mead. Okay, come on, stamina. Sticks are here. Spear is there. Broadleaf. And there's an apple over here. Okay, so I'm going to get started on this next quest and build a rabbit trap right there. Rabbit traps are pretty simple way to get some food early on. They're not my favorite way. Honestly, getting food is relatively straightforward if you've got decent aim with any of the weapons. But I'm going to go ahead and that should be good. I need to make a stone knife and a wooden spear. So stone knife will require some more stones. That should do it. And a wooden spear, even though I've got a copper spear, the quest still requires wooden. I need to chop down a tree. So let's pull out the axe. Now I know earlier I mentioned that you can get only 2 logs from a birch tree. You can actually get a 3rd log, but it does require that you use... Oh, let me go ahead. I'm going to get survival sense, which will actually upgrade my inspector mode. So if I look here, I can now... Oof, puppies. I can now see some different items. So I know earlier I mentioned how many logs you can get from each type of tree. I'm intentionally off by 1 on that because you can actually use a shovel to get 1 additional log by digging up the stump. However, I'm personally not a fan of that because as long as there is a stump, the tree will grow back in a couple of years. I think it takes like 2.5 years for it to grow back. And you cannot replant trees. You can plant fruit trees, but you cannot replant regular trees. So they're kind of a limited resource. I've got this quest to hunt an animal, so I'm going to go ahead and just hunt that bird. So like I said, if you got half decent aim, you're going to be fine. The spear is actually my least favorite weapon. I'd rather use a bow because it has a lot less inaccuracy in throwing it or in shooting it. But yeah, so that is kind of the beginning of the game. As I play, I'm going to be doing a different kind of length of time per episode. I think near the beginning I'm going to do, like, this was just 1 day. I think next episode we're going to finish out all of spring, and then the episode after that, and then starting the episode after that, we're actually going to be doing probably 1 episode per entire season. I'm harvesting berries right now because it's something I always do in spring of my first year, is harvesting berries, and I'll explain why in our next episode. So that's your little teaser as far as next episode. We're going to talk about why berries are useful. So thanks for watching. I think I'm going to call it here as we sleep and get ready for the next day. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll catch you in the next one as I clean up my inventory. Have a good one. Adios.